please. And Cliff, can you come up and officially introduce Shishir for me, please?
Okay. Well, Shishir Lakhani is, I've known him for quite a few years now. I met him at these business meetings, and he's very articulate and very knowledgeable. But his experience is very interesting to a lot of people because he had his own successful business, sold it, and retired early, which is a lot of people's dream, and now gives back with a group of other successful entrepreneurs in the organization of ASE. And I've referred quite a few people to it, but nobody's actually been yet. I've even offered to pay for one person, but some people just anyway. I'm sure they could really help. I think it's a great organization, and I'm very interested to hear what he's going to say today on AI.
Awesome, Shishir. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Cliff, for a wonderful introduction, Dave, for organizing this, and of course, we've got to thank Karen for being the instrument making all this happen. Cliff mentioned something about my background. Yes, born in Africa, Indian descent, educated in UK, made my money in Canada. So you can't say I haven't traveled. I certainly have traveled, and I have learned many, many lessons through my travels. At 53, my accountant said to me, "Why are you still working?" I like that accountant because he changed my direction. He changed my direction in life from, instead of looking at the balance sheet, I began to look for a balanced life. I was fortunate, I was successful, I sold and retired. You might ask, what does entrepreneurial life give you? It teaches you so very much because you understand what it takes to deal with human beings. No matter what artificial intelligence will tell you, they are not human beings. So understand, people do business with people. And this is why when I ran 27 years of a manufacturing company background with the aid of my wonderful wife, we have learned human nature so much better than I would have if I had not run this business. I wore many hats. I was a salesman. I was a shipper receiver. I was the guy signing the deals. I was the one being called to board meetings. I have seen it from all angles. This is something that often is lacking in people who become very specialized in a silo. Being a lifelong learner, I learned lots of lessons which I treasure and now I share. This is my phase of giving back. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I sit on boards of many businesses through AAC. I understand them intrinsically, including the person running the business, because it's not necessarily the business itself that runs itself. It's the people behind the leadership, the team. We get to know those companies inside out, upside down. We ask questions, we encourage, we coach, and we certainly advise. I'm very proud of the fact that I sat on the board of Heart and Stroke Foundation for many years, and for 18 years I've been a volunteer there. At AAC, we are all retired CEO types. And unlike Dragon's Den, we do not tear people apart. We build them up. That's a very crucial difference because we certainly are not there to buy their business. We are there to support it and make it grow for them. We do not work for money. We volunteer our time. AI. AI is, of course, in everybody's mind today. It was in the mind of the stock market all last year. We saw the wonders it did to the markets. The market took off. I met a chap the other day. He says he's put 100% of his money now in NVIDIA. NVIDIA stock, if any of you don't know, which is unlikely, is the dominant player in GPU, graphic processing units, essential for all AI. So then you might ask me, say Jamil asked me, so is this something that markets are going to keep soaring on? I'll tell you, like all previous booms, Jamil, stocks and markets rise exuberantly when something new comes up. Then the markets tend to correct, realizing that the stock has become overpriced, realizing that new competition is always around the corner. There are two sides to the AI story. Some say AI is going to be an existential threat to humanity. You've all heard that? Yes? Well, I call these people doomers. And then there's others. For example, amongst the doomers, the guru came from University of Toronto, Geoffrey Hinton. He's the godfather of AI, and he said this is going to be drastic. He figures AI brains are going to outpace the human brains. 1968, when I was still a student, I watched the movie 2001, The Space Odyssey. Any of you seen it? Well, you're young. That movie has a computer called HAL. In space, these people are planning how to survive, and they end up thinking about shutting off the computer to diminish the power outage. The computer called HAL figures it out, and he says, no way, I take over the ship. That fear has been always there that machines will eventually take over and displace us. The other side of the equation is not the doomers, but the boomers, like the ones I see here, who are asking questions, where do I take AI? Scientist, futurist Ray Kurzweil, he envisions something called singularity. Singularity means when a time comes where human intelligence can increase millionfold with the aid of AI, and we kind of become one and together. I think the truth will probably lie in between somewhere. I'm going to talk about changes, challenges, opportunities. I want to make it very clear, I'm not a techie like David or Sadiq. I'm not the guy who will put AI into your systems or show you how to run it. I'm talking strategy. Should that be done? How should it be done? And what should be considered? So the challenges, changes, and opportunities. Let's look at that for a minute. Is AI going to create disruptions? Of course it is. Of course it is. Are there going to be job losses? Of course there are going to be job losses. Goldman Sachs did a survey. They figure up to 300 million jobs might be affected. I said 300 million jobs may be affected. It could be anywhere from people like the one first person from England, artist, creative arts. They're going to be affected. It's going to rip off all your art, put it together, and sell it to somebody. These things are going to happen. It's going to happen in fields like administration, telemarketing, even drivers, IT, software people. Programs will be written by AI. So many different things are going to happen, but changes, my friend, are constant. And changes also bring with them opportunities. When COVID came along, we thought it was the end of the world. We at ASE used to have an office in Etobicoke, one boardroom of an office. We're all older people. We all are immune compromised, and putting 6 of us in the same room didn't seem like a good idea in the times of COVID. We thought that one might be it, we'll throw in the towel. We can't help more people. Well, my friends, Zoom came along. We are Zooming with it, and for now many, many years, we see more clients, more international clients, which would not have been possible to come to Etobicoke in Ontario. So these things always bring their own benefits. All changes are like a two-sided coin. Why do I say that? Because they have advantages, they have disadvantages. Actions always have consequences. They can be profitable if you know how to tailor that, or you can see unintended consequences. That happens very often. When they made ships, we had to be prepared for shipwrecks. Planes, plane crashes. Electricity, electrocution. All these things are unintended consequences of inventions. While I don't know all the answers because I'm not young enough, I do know this much. There are no absolute rights or wrongs. I'm not going to point you in one direction and say that's the only way to do it. But this much I'll tell you. Look at life as gray, not black and white. AI is an invention of such a stature that it's going to be something that's going to stay with us from here on. The genie is out of the bottle, my friends. You can't put it back in. So we can't hide away from it. I repeat, AI is here to stay and grow, and we don't even know which way it'll go. Fear of change is normal. It's automatic. We prefer stability. We get upset when things are moved around, even in the kitchen. Who moved this? We don't like stuff like that. We prefer stability, and yet you know, and I know, everything changes. Recessions are like a new change that comes along, and some of you who have not seen them, better get ready. They are draining. I've been through 2 or 3 of them. It might appear that was the end of the world. I had 55 people in the plant. Contracts that I had signed up for next year, condominiums, hotels, one after the other started canceling on me. These things do happen. But those that do survive and get past it, they adapt to survive. They adopt new ideas. And if they do survive the recession, they are the ones standing. The rest are gone. Profits soared 3 years after the recession, before any competition could enter. So remember, there's always 2 sides to every story. Learn to adapt to AI, live with it, manage it to your advantage. I want to just give you some context about changes. All these revolutions came by and many jobs were lost. Agricultural revolution, farmers were out of jobs. Today, we sustain 8 billion people on Earth. They thought that nobody will grow food. Next came the Industrial Revolution. Horse buggies replaced by cars. There was outcry. Accidents, people will die. Machines were invented. Luddites came along, breaking down the machines. The unintended consequence of machinery? We shortly invented tanks, planes to go fight wars. Then came the scientific revolution. Brought us all this comfort, efficiency, speed of talking to people across the world. Medical inventions saved millions of lives. I came from a country which had malaria. It was running ragged. People were dying. Today, these things are under control. But of course, every invention comes with the side effects, the unintended consequences. We also invented the atomic bomb. Now, technological revolution. When I was at school, we had to do arithmetic. No calculators allowed in examinations. No calculators. That's how it was. We had to know it by head. Changes were allowed. Eventually, teachers backed off and said, yes, okay, calculators are okay. Now computers are okay. It starts and it grows. Computers, internet, social media, connectivity has made the world much smaller. The unintended consequence of that? Cyberbullying, kids committing suicide, rapid-fire propaganda, fake news. mis and disinformation. We've seen plenty of that. Now, AI revolution, the challenge of unintended consequences, we'll have to wait and see. But the genie is out of the bottle, it's not going back in. So, fellow entrepreneurs, difficulty is not new ideas. Difficulty is often escaping old ideas. Don't get trapped in navel gazing and saying, my business is doing fine as it is. Why should I bother with AI? If you don't, your competition will. Savor yesterday's success is a mistake. Learn, adapt, and adopt this new powerful tool. AI is going to give you incomparable knowledge base. That knowledge base, not only has it all accumulated, it also connects dots. It can see trends, it can see similarities, it can see differences, it can give you pointers where you may be going wrong and you don't even know it. Imagine tools that will automate, execute, analyze, plan, market, and make some decisions for you. Just think about that. That's not like having a World Wide Web. This is not a Google search. This is so much more. And I'm sure most of you have experimented with things like ChatGPT and realized the power of it. AI tools will increase efficiencies worldwide. It'll save money. It'll save time. It'll give better customer service. And it offers, for the right people, growth opportunities. According to the Small Business Entrepreneurs Council, 83% of small businesses plan to invest in AI. 83%. For those that adopt early, there are some big advantages. Those who are slow often fall aside because they've been overtaken by people who did. Hey, Shishir, said somebody to me last week, I'm recording my meetings now. No more frantic notes taking. All recordings are summarized and given to me in one page. Well, we geezers at ASE decided to try that. We turned it on. Our client came in with his wife's computer. The client was Richard. The wife was Rachel. So the name on the computer was Rachel. So the whole meeting transcribed into Rachel said this and Rachel said that. But it wasn't Rachel at all. It was Richard. But there you go. There's going to be always lessons that we all learn. We sometimes live life in a stupor, comforted by old repetitive habits. Darwin didn't say the survival of the strongest. He said survival of the fittest, the one that are most able to adapt. My friends, take this opportunity. Do not let it go by you because it will leave you behind if you do. They say one of the big advantages of entrepreneurs is they are quick decision makers. They're like a fast boat compared to a cruise ship. You can turn around, change direction, and be something that they cannot be. Take those advantages. How many of you are presently using AI? Impressive. At least 60%. You can personalize your AI. Customer relations. What do I always say to Dave's meetings? Relationships is what it's all about. Businesses are built on relationships. Well, if you can shortcut that using CRMs, retaining customers, do you know getting a new customer is 7 times more expensive than working with the existing one? 7 times more. So if you had database and you say, oh yeah, I remember you when did I see you? Oh yeah, 3 years ago. Okay, to remind me, what do you do? Well, customer relations management will not do those stupid things. It'll tell you before you go in the meeting who this individual was, where his kid goes to, which university they go to. Remember those things because that's what relationships are based on. Chatbots, customer service, clear, timely guides. You remember those phone calls you make to Rogers or Bell? Your call is very important to us. My God, if it is, why am I waiting 2 hours to get an answer? PR, public relations. You can reach all your clients overnight, rapid response in multitudes. Marketing, social media. It can do your content. It can target your ads. It can do product development. I hear it can even help in SEO. I'm sure Sadiq knows a lot more about that than I do. Be an early adopter. Seek opportunities. So you can ask me, so Anna says, what do you mean by opportunities? I can use the tools you mentioned, but where are the opportunities? You can set your business apart by seeking out your unique specialty and marketing that well using AI. You need to proact, though. Don't procrastinate on this too long. I was in Nevada traveling, and there was a mine that we went to look at, and there was a little graveyard beside it. On one of the stones, it said, "Here lies Jimmy the Kid, the second fastest gun in the West." You see the humor in that? Second fastest died. Well, of course they did. You got to be very careful. If you're going to draw first, don't draw last. Opportunity is when you discover a problem and you provide a solution. Be a solution. Talar, if you're going to be in the immigration lawyer business, be a solution to their specific needs. And don't be just an immigration lawyer. I'm an immigration lawyer who does this for you. And my AI already has identified you as the ideal target. This provides opportunities to you. The biggest risk, of course, is AI also has its own unique areas of unintended consequences. And maybe that's where the problem is, and maybe that's where the opportunity is. Because I just said to you, seek for problems, provide solutions. So if you see problems, perhaps that's where the opportunity lies. What are the problems with AI? Biggest problems is inaccuracies. They're limited to their programming, their algorithms, and they're trained. And sometimes they generate what they call hallucinations, garbage reports. That's a big problem. Big problem for bigger companies. Maybe an entrepreneur who says, I can resolve that for you. Well, the human touch sometimes can be very valuable. Also, AI can be very difficult in doing fast checking. You can do the fact checking and you can do it fast because you work as an independent, and as I said, a motorboat can turn around fast. Whereas a large company will have to committee meetings, they'll set up time, and by the time they can react, it takes months. I do know I've sat on large boards. Decisions take months, action takes years. Consumer data privacy. I think Chantal is agreeing. Absolutely true. We all know dealing with government and how tough that can be. Yeah. Needing human touch, fast checking. There's going to be data privacy issues. Many data privacy issues. So, say for example, I read the other day, you now can with AI simulate somebody's voice and phones the grandmother and says, I'm in dire straits, grandma, please send me some money. And all they needed was a little recording of your voice, and it's generated itself into a problem. Find us and be a solution to that. AI models recognize patterns. So they use algorithms to identify certain patterns, and they tell you, well, this is what seems to be the consensus. But these algorithms were written by people like you and I. People who have their own biases. So when we write, it'll be done by him. Why did I write done by him, not her? It's a common thing that people do. A patient walks into a hospital and the woman comes in. Oh, nurse, can you get me this? I am your doctor, she says. Biases we all live with and continue. Well, the people who wrote those algorithms also have biases. And there was a story, Amazon, you know, heard of Amazon. Amazon decided to use the AI resume checking, and they filtered out things that they thought would not be the right candidates. You know who got filtered out most? Women. Why? Because the previous data always talked about men. That's a problem. Somebody needs to resolve that. Legal landscape. We have an artist in our presence. How many times have we heard people's pictures, artwork being stolen and utilized and available online for free? So there's legal opportunities too. Breaches, copyrights, employee training. How many people are going to need training in AI? So these are some of the low-hanging fruits I want to now address, which is the fourth part of my meeting. Accounting. If you haven't done a readiness of your company, these steps might help you. Accounting, have you used categorization of your accounts? Knowing how to set up your accounting books so that it'll give you the right data. Analysis, cash flow, forecasting, spotting irregularities, something that shouldn't have happened, but it's in your books. It didn't happen the year last year, it didn't happen the year before, but it's just suddenly showing up on your account. All these things can be caught by AI. Customer service, automation, 24/7 chatbots. Use them. Text or voice-based. Capture data. Every time somebody says something to you, you'll forget. But the CRM that you instilled using AI will come back to you end of the month and say, potential targets for you. 7, 8 names. You hadn't even expected those people to be a good client. So for example, if I was to look at Anna and say, yes, it's going to meet me age slowly. Well, I like that idea, Anna. But thank you. And if that was the case, it would become a case of Anna being reminded, follow up with Shishir. He said he was interested. Please don't follow up, Anna. I'm dying slowly. Thank you. She says no. Thank you, thank you. Now, customer relations management, identify your opportunities, forecast the future customers. You don't know how many customers you're missing. Customer behavior can be tracked using AI. Suggest some insights, some trends. It'll help you build better relationships with your customers, your clients, and you'll sell a lot more to existing clients as opposed to finding new ones, which a lot of people do. They become hunters. Be a farmer. Look after the people you have. Cybersecurity, if you haven't, please ensure that AI is helping you with that, not harming you. HR, recruiting, I mentioned the case of resumes, filtering out which ones are good, which ones are not. So key takeaways, I want to draw your caution to some things. Beware the weaknesses of AI that I mentioned. Mistakes and errors are rarely forgiven by customers. How many can relate to that? 20 good favors you do, they'll forget. It's that one time you drop the ball, they'll remember that and they'll bang it on your head over and again. Always happens. Jeff, am I right? Mistakes are not forgotten easily. Edgar Allan Poe, he wrote, years of love get forgotten in one moment of hatred. How many times have we said things that we regret? We should never have done that, but we do that to our customers, and they never will forgive you. If you're going to implement AI, go slow, go steady, test, retest, run parallels. Don't just abandon one system and go to the next. Run parallels for at least a month. See if it's working. Protect your reputation, because once you lose it, it's very hard to repair. Budgets and scalability, talk to techies who understand that and tell them this is all I have in budget and this is what I'm trying to achieve. If they're good, they'll be able to achieve it for you. Do your research, access your existing processes and examine them. Give your team, if you have a team, heads up. This is what we're heading for. Don't get a state of panic in your organization. People feel this thing is going to replace them and it's the end of their job. So they'll start sabotaging you instead of helping you. Be very careful. Heads up, share it with everybody. AI is a large language model, constantly changing and improving. Stay current. Continually improve. The Japanese have a system called Kaizen. Kaizen says, don't make huge changes quickly. Make small changes and move forward, learning from that. Wisdom, my friends, consists of anticipation of consequences. We covered AI revolution, the challenge of change, and multitude of opportunities. On a personal level, I'm not that fearful about AI, as are some. Human creativity is a combination of intelligence and imagination. I don't even like the term artificial intelligence because it's making it appear like it's got the same intelligence as we do. Intelligence is much more than IQ or objective knowledge. Einstein, the greatest scientist of all, said imagination is more important than knowledge. To me, intelligence is not a scientific concept. Intelligence is a cultural concept built on hopes, aspirations, fears, and despair. All human qualities which a machine cannot have. Humans have soft skills and cultural intelligence, knowing who to talk to as I'm addressing all of you, and being able to spot what is it that's going to make their hot button come alive. Whether you're a doomer or a boomer, I have little doubt that all businesses must get on board with AI sooner rather than later. Not only to succeed, but also to survive in business. A little bit of humor. If you're on the right track, even if you're on the right track, if you just sit there, you'll get run over by the train. So be careful. Don't sit on the track too long. Learn to shed the skin of the past. As you see, I'm still changing. I'm still learning new ideas and staying young. Anna, I'm still staying young, at least at heart. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shishir.
Thank you,
Certainly appreciate that. And right now, Shishir, if we can open the floor for questions. Are you okay with that? Yes. But for the questions, guys, listen to me carefully. The question should not be more than a minute long, and a follow-up question should not be more than 30 seconds. All right. So, and we'd like the question to be specific to your business. So if you can get those digital hands up, and maybe we can start taking some questions. So don't be shy. We're here for success, and I think in this mark, as you heard Shishir said, we are able to get some of this success through the knowledge, through our applied knowledge And AI is going to be a big part of that. So let's start off with Chantel. Chantel, come on up for me, please.
Yeah. So thank you, Shishir. That was a great presentation. And by the way, I do know Space Odyssey. I've seen that movie. Yep, I'm in that generation. So love that movie. I still think about it sometimes in terms of the meaning. It's quite advanced thinking for that era. Now, my question, AI. So I'm talking to you as a business coach and an AI integrator in business. Easy to do market research, easy to use for marketing purposes in terms of messaging. Now, when it comes to sales, what can AI do?
Beautiful question. Thank you, Chantel, for sharing that you know 2001 Space Odyssey. I needed to at least hear it from one person. You know, sales is something that's so articulate. It requires that human skill to convince somebody and persuade them to your line of thinking. Get them to sign on that dotted line is not something that AI can do very easily. This is why that human touch that I mentioned is so crucial. To sell an AI machine or an AI tool is also going to require somebody like Sadiq or Mr. Pong to tell us how to implement it. That is still a sales job. And there are many jobs that will not necessarily disappear. And Chantel's wondering how it can be helpful in finding sales. Finding sales, yes. Closing sales, no, I do not see it yet. I have not figured out how it could do that. But we're always learning. Thank you for that, Chantel.
And then we'll move on to Cliff.
Yeah, it's such a great conversation, Shishir. You came across so many things there. And first thing I thought about being in the web business, and I've been out of it for a while now, and having done the web stuff and the SEO and all that, I was thinking of Sadiq. I thought one day I'd like to hear someone like him give a presentation about how this does affect, SEO, because things I think have changed dramatically. Because now if I have a problem or something I want to find, a lot of times I'll use one of the AI models and not use just a regular Google search. So it does change things a great deal. So.
Great point, Cliff. I'm sure Sadiq can probably fill us in on some of the changes that are happening in the SEO sector. But I also want to give a plug to my friend Cliff Homewood. He's the one who set us and cleaned up our website for us at ASE. So big thank you to you, Cliff. Does a great job. Unfortunately, stop doing it now. Maybe AI can do it for you, Cliff.
All right. Chantel, I'm sorry, I didn't ask if you had a follow-up question, did you? You have to unmute, though. We still
You're
can't
muted.
hear you. So
You're
click that
muted.
button.
Sorry, I was being polite. I muted. So I said, yes, in terms of follow-up question, well, you said finding sales. So we are now going back to saying that AI is a research tool, correct? When you say finding sales, you want it to identify, can it identify potential prospect that you haven't thought of, but from where?
True. And I said finding them, it also connects dots that could be from different areas of your connections which you never thought about. AI will tell you that. This is where it can outdo us in terms of ability to connect dots much faster than we can.
I think a good start is you can look at LinkedIn, the Sales Navigator, right? There's a lot of AI component in it, and you see a lot of messages, more like an introduction, which is just the first part of sales, which can be automated and at least get you interested, connect with people who are interested in your services, right? So that is a good start in the sales process.
Yeah, I've used it. It's not, I think people are tired of it.
That's there. So.
Yeah.
And I guess the art will be is to find the balance between communicating it in a way that it's not, tiresome for the receiver.
Thank you. Thank you, Sadiq.
Yeah, good point indeed. Anna, come on up, please.
Yes, perfect presentation. What kind of AI system do you use?
Great question, Anna. I am trying to get off my backside and get off the tracks, making sure I don't get run over. I am using presently converting my meetings into chat, so it'll prepare a summary for me. Then, of course, I spend at least 15 minutes going over it. There are always some errors, and I have to fix them before I distribute my notes, because that can become difficult.
What system do you use?
It's a Zoom AI. Zoom AI.
Zoom AI.
In other words, there's AI everywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What happened here? Somebody sharing screen?
Who is sharing? Somebody showing us the Zoom AI. Is that you, Sadiq?
It's Jeff.
Oh, Jeff. Okay.
I'm playing around with things going.
Okay, Jeff. Let me see. I stop you from sharing. All right. So let's open up for more questions. Did you have a question, Jeff, as well?
Yeah, yes, I did actually. We're all coming from different experiences, like experiences in different business and services. Is there a general way to, I guess, to learn about how we can take this and, I guess, apply it to our services, our businesses, I guess good starting points.
So I'm trying to understand your question, Jeff. You're saying, how does it apply to each individual industry or each individual business?
Well,
Is that your question?
let's do it this way, Jeff. What is your business? Tell Shishir what's your business.
Mortgages.
Okay, so you're selling mortgages and you need to identify who are the people whose mortgages are coming up and they're going for renewals. Who are the people who may have difficulty renewing based upon their income, based upon...
My question is how to, I guess, how to get used to AI specifically to our businesses. I mean, step by step, where do we go to learn more about about AI services for our services?
I outlined quite a few basic low-hanging fruits, which all businesses should consider.
Okay.
And you might want to at least begin with that and start getting your feet wet. You don't want to jump into with both feet into an area you're not familiar with, but things that are already working, like a good CRM system that'll tell you what things are happening, what's likely to be a good lead for you. Use it to identify your opportunities, your low-hanging fruits with your specialty, your unique selling proposition. That's what you need to develop. Don't be, I'm like everybody else in this business.
Right.
Thank you.
And Jeff, maybe we can get Dave Pong and Sadiq, since they work in that field,
Yeah.
in terms of getting clients to respond to you directly as well. David, Sadiq, we'll start with you, then we'll go to David.
Yeah, sure. In terms of the basics, like Shashir mentioned, an app that you can use is like ChatGPT. It's a great tool for generating content, right? And that content can be used in different ways, like your blog post or in social media. So in terms of marketing, you can start using such tools for that.
Draw people to you. David?
Sure, thanks. Just to add, right, AI is changing, as Shishir mentioned. Jeff, you have to look at the things that you do from the day to day, and there are agents and things that are being developed for specific industries. Now, if you're on the mortgage side, right, you know, there may be some things that are being developed, and I may have some information. I just got to go through the data that I have, right? Because there's a number of AI meetings that go on in Toronto where we are. And in December, there's going to be another presentation on this, but you may look at things like the social media things, right, to try and generate more leads, or have those low-hanging opportunities for guys that are looking for a mortgage or making more connections with real estate agents so that they can refer you. Somebody mentioned the SEO stuff that is being automated. There are bots now and agents that actually will change the SEO, you know, on the fly for you on your web pages so that it is automated. Actually, it'll measure the effectiveness of the keywords and stuff weekly and monthly. And if it's not moving you up on the Google ranking, then it'll notify you and then give you new suggestions based on all the changes. So AI actually can help people very effectively if you know how to use the tools and stuff like that. So you have to sort of look at what you need in your business, right? And every business is different. So you can't. There's no one general answer to the question.
Thank you very much, David. You gave me a great insight as to where I want to begin.
All right, so we're gonna get one more person to give you an insight on that. Ramin, come on in.
Jeff, I have just one suggestion for you. If you go to ChatGPT itself and tell that this is my business, I'm a mortgage broker, these are the challenges I have in business, and these are the things I want to improve. What are the AI tools that are currently in the market? And it shares great ideas with you. And the case is that you cannot see the tools because there are so many things coming every single week, like in image generation, video generation. I also, if you don't mind, I wanted to also give a feedback to Chantal about that AI closing sales. I think it's getting very close to that stage. So if you go to YouTube, there is a video about an AI calling a person from a car dealership to book a test drive. And it successfully answers all the questions and books an appointment very nicely for a test drive. So at the end, as Shishir mentioned, then human touch comes in. But imagine that you are able to give a database as a car dealership and make calls to these guys who visited our website for this new model and book them a test drive. You know how difficult it would have been back then. And also, I have also one question for Shishir is that I feel with the Gen Zs, even the importance of human touch is going away, unfortunately.
Always.
These guys don't like even face to face. So I don't know, maybe like we are thinking of human touch, maybe the new gen, even they are so okay with an AI booking a test drive. They go there is even no salesperson. They sit in the car, they have Q&A, and they just, I don't know, even tap the credit card and come out. Just a food for thought.
All right, so let Shishir answer that.
Thank you. I mean, thank you for bringing that to light. Kids don't listen anymore. I was a hippie. I didn't listen to my parents either, and they thought there was no hope for me. So please remember, more things change, the more they stay the same. History repeats. Not only that, it rhymes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's get Karen in for her question.
Okay, well, showing my age, I remember Hal, and I thought of him the other day, actually. And you just mentioned something, Raman, about the human touch. It's not just the human touch, it's that the FAQs and the bots and all of that, they can't answer my question. I'll look at every FAQ and it's never the question that I have. And then if I have a follow-up question, I need someone who's going to understand what I'm saying, and then when I ask a follow-up question, be able to answer me. However, I'm left brain, right brain, but I'm on one end of the spectrum and the other end of the spectrum of so many things. But I have learned one thing: never to say never. So although I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe we are being dumbed down. And that's one of the things that bothers me about AI. People, instead of learning how to write, just go to AI and it's written for them. So that's what bothers me. But as I said, never say never. I use it sometimes, and I will probably end up using it more and more. But I am not really running into it. Scares me.
Go ahead, Shishir.
That's a fantastic comment, Karen. Especially somebody coming in from a very artistic background, a right brain thinker who structures your life, puts it in a format that's going to be useful to your generations forward. Karen, I also want to draw your attention to the fact that being dumbed down was a story that was told to me about 10 years ago. People are going to forget how to write because now all they do is type. Has the art of writing disappeared? When we were younger, it was also computers came in, said, oh, this is stopping you thinking. That's going to destroy our brains. We evolve, just our brains evolve, just like everything else around us. And maybe our brains will start to adapt and utilize this as just an additional resource. And we can really multiply our abilities. So I'm fairly optimistic. And I don't feel that any kind of technology is going to dumb us down because we are very smart. We have skills that no machine can ever emulate.
It's just gonna be different. Okay,
Well,
I
but you
got
have
you.
to be able to use those skills.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do now, guys. Shishir, I'm gonna ask Shishir for a last word, and we're gonna turn off the video, the recording, and any kind of summary. So if you have like personal stuff, like I know Talra, for example, she's in the law business, so she may have stuff that she doesn't want to be recorded. But I'm going to give you that opportunity to be able to ask those questions without it being recorded. But Shishir, summarize for us, and where do you see us in terms of AI in the next 2 years?
I think this is like opening the Pandora's box. It's going to bring about such radical changes very quickly. And as mentioned by Ramin, don't ask, just ask ChatGPT. It's amazing how many things it'll bring to light which you had never even thought about. The other day I was asked to speak on the spur and said, this afternoon you're speaking on this subject. I went to ChatGPT and asked 10 bullet points about this subject. Automatically my memory was triggered. Oh yeah, I must remember to say that. I have to cover this. It's important. These things become part and parcel of your life. And don't be afraid of it. I think it's something that's going to really lead to many, many opportunities that we haven't even thought about. The other thing I want to mention is AAC. I put my details on the chat box. If any of you are interested in checking us out, we volunteer our time. And if you think there is a value to some experience and some sage value, please look us up because we will be happy to do a medical checkup of your business, not you.
Awesome. Well said. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.